Welcome to those 90s Teachers podcast with Tasia and Zara, where we are currently taking up space in the education arena in different parts of the world.
Throughout this journey, you will learn about being a teacher in today's society as we share personal stories and life experiences in the classroom.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the 90s Teachers, episode number 8.
Eight.
Okay.
8 is in the building.
Wow. I can't believe it. We're almost up to 10. That's crazy. We've been doing this for 2 months.
Yes, we were doing this for 2 months.
Big ups to us. That's crazy.
We're killing it. And literally, our July is basically over, and we're getting into our second month of summer.
I know. We're gonna keep
here. It's going
We're
by
gonna
so
keep,
fast.
we're gonna keep, I know, right?
Going
It's
by
giving me a little
so
bit of anxiety, but I'm like, God, I trust God. We got
Yeah.
this. We
I
got
got
this.
you.
We got,
I got you.
I got us. What you talking about?
Us, literally. Legit.
Talking about
There ain't nothing to worry about.
nothing to worry.
But this episode is just gonna be light and sweet. We want you guys to know who Tasia and Zara really are. So in this episode, what we're gonna be talking about is starting off our journey as students, like teachers that shaped us into the teachers that we are today, or just the people that we are today, and how we ended up as teachers, but also how us being students influence our teaching styles.
Yes.
It's going to be really cool to see that. And just things like maybe share some fun facts that between how we thought teachers were or school functioned as students, but now that we know how it functions as teachers. So like the myths, as we say, I think that would be really
That'd
cool.
be so good.
Yeah. So it's going to be a fun episode. So the way we're going to start it off is, my dear, I'm going to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
how was Miss Taja? Like, what kind of student were you? So walk me through. So walk us through, let's say you got to kindergarten. Like, how were you feeling, if you still remember? And then elementary school, you can start with elementary school and then work your way up to middle school. It's totally up
Let's
to you.
let's go.
Let's
Okay,
go.
let's see. I was put in private school for the first 11 years of my life. So
Nice.
yeah, my mom didn't want me to be in public school because she knew like how crazy it could be. And
Yeah.
because when she was younger, she used to just be out on the street and her public school friends. So she didn't want me to be
She
in
like, no.
she was like, no, my child's going to private school. So I
Yeah.
went to private school. Um, Okay. So as a kid, I was always really, really intelligent. My mom always would tell me like how I was really smart. I learned how to read. I learned my letters. She told me on Wheel of Fortune, you know, the game.
Yes,
She
I
told me,
love Wheel of Fortune. Oh my
yeah,
God, I
she
love
told
that.
me, yeah, she told me that when I was like 2 years old, or she said that, or 1 years old, she said we would watch it together, and she said
Yeah.
that's how I was able to learn my letters by watching that. And then I learned how to read when I was about 3 years old too.
Yeah.
So she said that I was always really like really smart. Um, I will have okay, fast forward to let's say fourth grade, fifth
Okay.
grade, fifth
Yeah.
grade. We'll get into some juicy stuff. So fifth grade in elementary school was my last year of private school, which I was in Catholic school for 2 years. So fourth and fifth grade I was in Catholic school.
Mhm.
And I started to realize that as a student, I mean, I wanted attention. And
Mhm.
because I was so smart, none of the teachers really paid attention to me. You know, they kind
Yeah.
of like overlooked me a lot. They're like, oh, she got it. But I
Yeah.
wanted attention because I'm like, dang, like I can so I would purposely like do bad on my exams sometimes. Like even
Mhm.
like I know I would purposely do bad because I'm like, okay, if I do bad like the other kids, then maybe I'll get more attention.
Yes. Yeah.
So we had like a social studies state exam we had to do. I would
Yeah.
randomly bubble in letters in the exam and then
Not you trying to purposely
I
fail
know
an exam.
an
I'm
exam.
crying right now. What a
And
great problem
then
to have.
so then when my mom went for parent teacher conference, my teacher was like, yeah, her reading level was a little bit lower than expected. And
Mhm.
then, but she's like, but she does really well. So this is really surprising for me. I didn't really get in trouble because it wasn't did the
Yeah.
test didn't even matter. But
Yeah.
to make a long story short, I was just very I knew my stuff. As a
Mhm.
friend in school, I
Yeah.
realized in 5th grade that I was two-faced, and I
What?
yeah, in 5th grade, I learned in 5th grade, I learned that I was two-faced because I because I didn't even know. I was talking to my friend about
Yeah.
another girl, and
Mhm.
then I overheard the girl saying, "Yeah, she's fake, she's
Yeah.
two-faced." I was like, "Oh my god, I'm two-faced." And then after that moment, I was like, "Yo, that's crazy. I don't wanna talk to nobody ever again."
Yeah.
And that was my moment of, like,
Okay, reflecting on that though, were you do you think that you were two-faced in the moment, or do you
I
think just because you heard what she said, you believed
I
her?
think I was because
Okay,
I was
okay. So it's accountability. I
we
love that.
tried,
Accountability is
we
key.
tried, but
Yeah.
no, it was crazy because as a 10-year-old, how do you have that type of
Yeah.
self-reflection, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But literally, I
Yeah.
remember that day like it was yesterday because I remember it was a good friend of mine, but me and another girl were really talking about her. And
Yeah.
then I guess she overheard what we were saying,
Yeah.
maybe from another person. And then when I heard her say that I was two-faced, I
Yeah.
was like, yo, in that moment, I was two-faced. So, so
You know
crazy.
what? I love that you're owning it because there probably and you were that young to actually own it. That's crazy.
Crazy.
Like, wow.
Yeah,
Critical thinker down here.
it's crazy. Yeah.
Mm.
5th grade, I also learned that I made a lot of excuses. So
Mm.
5th grade was 10 years old was a really pivotal moment for me, apparently.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
telling you. Look at my elementary kids, like they were not this taking accountability like
Telling
this
you,
or
seriously.
reflecting like you. What?
That's what I'm thinking, like, wait a minute, that's kind of odd.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that's how I was in elementary school. Middle
Yeah.
school, I was very goofy. Oh, I was so goofy. I let it all out. I was so goofy. I like used to make weird voices in 8th grade to my teacher. I used to write these crazy stories
I
about
can't even imagine.
yo, crazy. In 7th grade, I wrote this whole story. And the beginning, because in the beginning, it was sounded like such an like artistic piece. And it was like,
Yeah.
all these vocabulary words that were so intelligent. And
Yeah.
at the end, I started talking about like flying chicken or something like that. My teacher was so mad at me.
She was pissed. She'd be like,
I was pissed.
what's wrong with this girl? How she start off like this and the story's getting green, and this is what happens. I get it though. Don't worry. Ain't no
She was
judgment here.
pissed. Oh
I
my god.
know.
She like you could just see her. She because
Yeah.
I stopped at a certain point because I knew where I was
Yeah.
going. And she was like, "No, Tasia, keep going. It's so good."
Mhm.
And I kept going. She was just like,
She
annoyed.
left.
She was over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, middle school, very goofy, let it all out.
Yeah.
High school, I was very more I also tried the goofiness too, realized that wasn't acceptable there. So I
Yeah.
started to become a lot more mellow,
Yeah.
started to find my group of people.
Yeah.
And
Because you're right, with high school, it kind of is different because, like, what worked for you in elementary or middle school is not the
no,
same
girl, no.
at all. It's like everybody's just trying to be cool. And the
Yeah.
kids who were like goofy or like were the class clowns were kids that like were more of the outgoing, like the speaking wise compared to like how you were perceived funny as like what was funny in middle school is completely different
Yeah.
from what it's
And it's
like.
weird because I was pretty shy too. It's weird that I was
Yeah.
so out there, but I was only with
Oh,
my group of friends, you know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah.
But
We're
yeah,
quiet. Yeah.
that's kind of how I was though.
I
Yeah, what
love
about you?
that. Oh my God. No, you made me laugh. Girl said she was two-faced and I'm girl laughing right now. That I love that. I love the self-reflection at Tasia. 10-year-old Tasia was above the times. Like I wish every 10-year-old was just like you. All right. Well, just like how you were, my parents actually enrolled me in junior kindergarten in Islamic school. So it is a private school because it's not paid by like it's not like paid by the government. You have to pay out of pocket. So they put me in Islamic school, and again, they didn't want me to go to public school for the same reason, to shelter me, because they thought all they heard is like horror stories from public schools. So they wanted also me to learn the religion and still get an
Oh,
education
love
at
that.
the same time. So they put me in Islamic school, but girl, it was the ghetto,
The
okay?
ghetto.
Oh my God. Imagine I
So,
literally, my first week of Islamic school was crazy. Like, I remember, like, to this day, I do get like vivid memories where, like, I was in rooms with like kids that were from kindergarten all the way to grade 5. So like the ages did not make sense. And then I remember us being bullied. A couple of kids actually stole my lunch. One time a kid poked me in my eye that I actually got like an eye infection. And I think that was like the second straw for my parents at that Islamic school. And then the third time where my parents are like, nah, I think this my daughter is better off in public school is when they stole my winter boots and my winter jacket.
What?
And my dad had to like carry me, like he literally physically had to carry me out, like the whole into the car
That's
all the way
ridiculous.
home
That is
because
ghetto.
they stole my winter boots, my winter jacket, my snow pants. So my dad and
Nah,
my
yeah.
mom just put my foot down. She said no. She said my daughter, and I was 4 years old. Like I don't know what was going on. There was no learning going on down there. It was survival of the fittest, and I was not surviving. So then we moved, and I went to public school. I remember, and so junior kindergarten, I think finished there. And then senior kindergarten, I went to public school. And it was great, like, but it was different. So it was completely different because when I went to the other school, Islamic school, I was around more older kids. And
Okay.
in kindergarten, public school, you're only around people your age. So I didn't know how to really interact with like kids my age or a big group of kids my age. So I kind of was more of the solo dolo. So like in kindergarten, I was more to myself. I was more reserved. Like I like the learning centers where I listened to the music, like the tapes of like people reading to me. So I always was there, or maybe just reading by myself because I loved reading. So one thing about me is like
Hmm.
my dad got me to reading early, even though like he was learning English himself. He was
Wow.
learning. So I remember like we would drive
Wait, so
around.
reading Arabic?
Yeah, like Arabic too. Yeah, Arabic. Yeah,
Wow.
me too. And then
So
English too. Yeah,
impressive.
both. So like we would drive around English, like it made me read like the signs when we're driving. It's like, Dad, like what's that? Abba means dad in Somali.
Dad,
What is
yeah.
that? What is that sign saying? I'd be like, oh, it's Western Road. He'd be so happy. So every time he was so happy, I was like, yeah, like I'm doing something good, you know. So that was like my introduction to reading. So that was good. And then I remember again another bully. People were like just bullied. They like to bully me in the beginning. And then I remember two kids came up to me and like one kid pinched me. I remember his name was Cody and the girl was Amanda. Like I still remember their names, and it was this kindergarten.
Cody, if you're
So they
listening to this.
Cody and Amanda. All right.
Speak
And they
your piece
pinched
now, man. Speak
me.
your piece.
Right. So they pinched me. I remember crying and I went to the teacher. I was like, they like literally just pinched me for no reason. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to get bullied anymore. So when people were trying,
Period.
tables turn, I was sticking up for myself. But then it was nice. So yeah, in kindergarten, I don't remember like me having friends in kindergarten. Maybe like I don't remember, but grade 1 is when I started to form friendships and like put myself more out there. And then elementary school, I was still more reserved. I was more like the student. But I remember in grade 1 though, one thing that really stood out to me is they put me in ESL, which is crazy because English is not my second language.
Right.
So then we realized it was more they just saw immigrant parents, so they just assumed.
They just,
So yeah, they
wow.
assumed, and that happened a lot back in the day. Yeah, there's like studies done on it now that I remember when we were teachers college that we realized that was happening to a lot of immigrant parents. Like they're like the school was just putting their kids in ESL without
It's
their parents' consent. Like my
yeah.
parents didn't even know I was in ESL. So I was in ESL from grade 1 to 2. And then like I'm here, I didn't even know. ESL to me just seemed like a cool place where I get to work one-on-one with the teacher. She just gave me candy at the end of the day. And I played a lot of games. So to me, it wasn't, I didn't know what
You didn't know
ESL
what it
was
meant.
until after,
It's kind
I
of
was
like how people
reflecting.
put a lot of black boys in special
Yes.
education
Yes. And
to
without like
attract them.
yes,
Exactly.
exactly. So that happened
Crazy.
to me. That happened to me. I think it happened to my sister too. I don't think it happened to my brothers. They tried it with my brothers, but then we fought that. So yeah, so that happened. Grade
Crazy.
3, 4, 5. I was pretty good. I was more like the average students. Grade 3, 4, I was average. Again, I wasn't too near like I wasn't loud, but I had friends. I was athletic. And then grade 5 happened. Grade 5, I had one of the best teachers ever. His name is Mr. Dadarian. Mr. Dadarian, if you ever listen to this, you changed my life. He literally held us to high expectations. He legit made me an honor student because he always like put his expectations first of all of us, so he didn't let any of his students slack. And I needed that because I felt like I was just like you said, like you were already intelligent, but if you're just average and you're just coasting and nobody's really checking for you, you
Right.
just don't try your best. But he wasn't allowing that of any of his students. So he put us to work. I remember and I really enjoyed him. He loved Spider-Man. He introduced me to the Beatles. Like he is an
Wow.
incredible man. Like he's the reason
I
why I
love
became a
that.
teacher. Yeah. So and then when I got to grade 6, I was already an honor roll student because he was such a good teacher that I
Wow.
brought that expectations to grade 6. But again, what happens is when you're in middle school,
Middle school.
you try, and I went to, because my school in elementary was K-5, so we graduated and we ended up going to a middle school, so grade 6 to 8, so a different school. So
Okay.
once I started at a different school, and then there's 3 other different elementary schools that are being blended into this one middle school, so you have to make new friends. So again, just like you're two-faced, I feel like I wanted to fit in, so I had this thing where like I would make myself look more dumb, so my group of girlfriends
I would do
would
the same thing. Oh
like,
my God.
yeah, sorry guy, like literally I was like a follower in grade 6 7, like for sure. Grade 6 7 and 8, I think like I was lost. So I would make myself dumber. So I legit remember grade 6 I was in the honor roll. Grade 7 I'm failing classes. Like I don't know where it went left, but I remember it was because of like just peer pressure of just trying to fit in with my friends, and how they didn't care about school, so I just want to be cool like them or not do work because they weren't doing work. And it was a whole lot. And then my dad was so disappointed in me in grade 7 and 8, and then he was like, okay, we're after you graduate, we're moving from this area. So he legit picked us up and we moved to the suburbs.
Oh,
So
wow.
we moved from the city to the suburbs. And that was a big shift because the school that I went to in middle school was predominantly Black students and predominantly Somali, and I'm Somali. So imagine going to school and 85% of your peers are just like you,
Right.
And then imagine I go to grade 9, I'm going to more of a suburb school where completely different
Right.
socioeconomic factor. So it's like more middle to high class. I'm going to a school called Rick Hansen, and it has like over 3,000 students, and
Oh,
like there's like 3% of that population is just Black, and even 1% is probably less than Somali. So
wow.
I couldn't connect with kids, like with students, because I just didn't connect with people
This
that
was
were
high school?
with me. High school. So I went
Okay.
to high school. The demographic there were a lot of more Asians,
Hmm.
and like Indians and like people. So I just didn't know how to connect with people because I wasn't used to people that have different experiences than me, so
Mm-hmm.
it was hard. So I had friends that were like older than me, so I ended up connecting because I had a cousin there. She was in grade 11 and her friends were Somali, so they were in grade 11 and 12. So I'm here, grade 9 student, just chilling with grade 11 and 12 somewhat like people. Like it was crazy. But I remember
Wow.
depressed though. I remember I was depressed. I didn't try. I was like protesting to my parents that I didn't want to be there. So it
Hmm.
was showed in my marks, like I didn't care. And then they're like, okay, I think we're doing our kids a disservice. So they
Hmm.
ended up moving us back
To
to
the
the
city.
city again.
Okay.
So yeah, that summer moved to the city. This
Parents
one,
are dedicated.
yeah, I know they're looking at us. They're like, yeah, I don't think they're not. Something's not right. So they
Wow.
moved us to the city, a different area though, but it wasn't far. And then I started a new high school, and the demographics is more to what I was used to.
Mm.
So then I met like a couple of people, and this time like I kind of knew who I was, more of like assured of myself. I didn't want to be a follower no more. I actually wanted to try in school. And I just wanted to have fun, like get into things that I I didn't have the luxury to before, because
Mhm.
I enrolled in the other school too late. So I didn't really get to pick my elective in grade 9. So when I came here, I got to pick my electives, and I picked a drama and dance. And I like being I'm a creative person. I just
Mhm.
never had that outlet.
Mm.
I remember taking dance class. I met some of my best friends from dance class in high school in grade
Wow.
10. I remember that I we did a whole dance showcase. I remember choreographing like this one piece.
Wow.
It had Run This Town by Jay-Z. It had
Okay.
Lil Jon, To the Window, to the Wall remix in there. And
Okay.
Jason Derulo, what you saying? Then the crowd loved it. I remember people coming up to me and be like, that was the best dance ever. It was so
Oh,
sick. And
okay.
after that, I feel like I found like my passion in high school. So I love dancing, and just like being creative. And I found good people, and then I started trying. But then again, I feel like it was so late in the game with like again academics. And then grade 11 and 12 is when I smartened up more. And then, because you're trying to apply for university, and it was hard to pick myself education wise and try again, because I goofed off
Yeah,
for so long. Like grade 7 and 8 are very pivotal years in
they
grade
are.
11. So I literally just missed 3 years of school that I don't know what had happened. And I'm in grade 11 math class and I don't understand. So I
Mm.
actually ended up failing grade 11 math. That was the first class that I've ever failed in my life.
Was that trick?
Huh? It
Was
was
that
like
trick?
yeah, I had like had all the functions because we just
Okay.
call it academic grade 11 math where you learn,
Okay.
and it was so hard. I remember, but my parents never knew that I failed.
How?
I know, like I faked everything. Like it was crazy. Like I was that student.
Oh,
And
you were
where the
sneaky.
teacher called my house, and
Uh-huh.
I remember my mom was like, she heard my name. She's like, "You're a teacher." I snatched the phone from my mom, and I was like, "Oh, she just told me Hoy that I like my mom. Hoy means mom that I
Uh-huh.
passed." I hung up the phone and erased the message because that teacher called, but that teacher didn't like me. Every single like it was the worst. Like I didn't like that
Uh-huh.
teacher. She didn't like me. She had it out for me
It
for
was a
no
mutual
reason.
agreement. Mm-mm.
But yeah, so sorry, mom and dad, if you ever hear this. But yeah, I did fail. I kept that secret to myself. Nobody knew.
Well,
Only
now you're a teacher, so
now I'm a teacher. Look at where I am. Oh, and then my guidance counselor told me that I shouldn't go to teachers college and I should just be a teacher assistant. And I didn't listen to her. And I applied for university
as
and
you
I got
should.
in. Yeah, and look where I am today.
Was
So
it
that's
even
why I tell kids like, yo, uh, don't let people project their thoughts of you or perspective of you shape your career choice or your trajectory in life, because if I was a person who wasn't at that point, if I was grade 7 Zara or grade 6 Zara where I was a follower, I would have followed what
everybody else said? Yep.
and my life would have been completely different, right? So, but I think it was meant for me to go through that. But yeah, like it's hilarious, and I'm a teacher.
Girl,
I'm
you're a teacher. You're a
a
whole
teacher.
teacher.
Look at me,
Look
and
at
I understand math. I'm really good at math now.
you. See,
Like
look at
I'm
that.
really good. I taught gifted math grade 8
There you
twice,
go.
and my kids said I really did a great job. Like what? So yeah,
Look, you see. Well, did it really matter that you failed?
at
And
all.
did it matter? No.
Yeah, no, but wow. Yeah, but the issue was again, the way that they teach middle school math is more different than high school math. Because in high school math, they go like every chapter, you do one, like let's say chapter 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3.
Right.
So every day you're doing a new lesson. And it doesn't matter if you fall behind,
They
the
just keep
teachers
going.
they keep going.
Yes.
Like I got left behind. I got left behind before
Yes.
the train even left the station.
I
you
always think
know?
about that too, because
Yeah.
I've worked with several different teachers because of my, I'm a special ed teacher.
Course. Yeah.
And whenever, let's say, for example, science, whenever they have those many units, I always think about what about checking for understanding? Like,
No,
did we
no.
just forget about that?
I got
Or
forgotten. I got forgotten. And especially in high school, because it's completely different. So like even here, when I was talking to like even our spec ed program, like we give so much resources from K to 8, and then grade 9 comes and you kind of take the crutches away from the kid and be like, okay, you can just survive, right? Like even here, like right now in Ontario, like from kindergarten to grade 8, like the homeroom teacher is responsible of writing the IEP. But once you get to high school, the special education teacher just writes the IEPs for all teachers and just like gives you the documents. So it kind of like when you're writing the IEP, you have more of a connection with the students.
hmm
Whereas in high school, you're just reading what somebody else wrote, and you're not really paying attention to what the student really needs, you know? So it's kind of like
Yes.
distant. So it's like it sucks. So and like that's like where the disconnect that I have right now too is like, but what happens to those kids in high school that been on IEPs for so long, like, and when they fall behind? Because I had kids that, like, you know, that couldn't even, that need you to transcribe their answers for you, but you can, if you don't have that in high school and they write their own tests and they keep failing, like what happens then? Like, do they just keep failing and then what, dropping out? Like, what is
Yeah,
the
I have a huge
resolution?
issue with that
Yeah,
IEP process in general because I mean, my first year I had 11th grade special ed. I mean,
yeah,
so it was a mix of them. So I had about in the class of 30, there was
yeah,
about maybe seven of them. But at the end of the day, when we did the IEPs, I used to always question, I'm like, okay, but after we write these, are we doing anything to help them? And
yeah.
but
Are we
even
actually using them?
yeah,
Yeah,
but even in the eighth grade, it's the same exact thing though. It's like the eighth grade. I mean, they these IEPs have been written and regurgitated over
yeah,
the past few years,
yeah,
So it's not until, let's say, eighth grade when they want to maybe think about considering taking them off the IEP
yeah,
or leaving
yeah.
them
And you
on.
follow, yep.
But regardless, not much can change after
You're
that.
right. You're
For
right.
example, if the kid wants to get a para, like let's say you want to give him a para, many
Yeah.
times they don't give paras after seventh grade. Kids can't just get a
Wow.
para to help them out. Like
That's true. Because
you
it's too late.
too late. So instead
Yeah.
of a para, maybe like sixth grade or fifth grade,
Yeah.
you're definitely not going to get a para.
Yeah.
So
And the waiting list, you're right.
so
It's hard.
it's
Yeah.
terrible. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's what I was shocked because, you know, like imagine like I was never on IEP, but like I
me
missed
neither.
like so much school because I was goofing off, like trying to fit in. I missed like 3 pivotal years of my life. And when I got I couldn't keep up anymore. It was too hard, you know. But what happens to kids that really that couldn't even that actually can't even keep up from the beginning, you
I
know?
know.
That's like where
Yes,
it's
I have a problem with
heartbreaking.
that. I have a problem with that. I wonder too if private schools are different. I'm about to do a lot of more research on private schools
Yeah.
because I've only been in public schools, but I
Yeah.
just want to know like what they do differently than public schools that allow their kids to receive more. Because I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, we can say it's funding, but at the end of the day, where do they put their money
That's true.
specifically?
I agree. Yeah.
I'm so curious because if you can follow the format of what kind of school system and what's
Yeah.
working, then you
Mhm.
can just copy and paste it to a
Yeah.
public school system. So I don't know what the disconnect is, to be honest.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
right. No, I agree. Honestly. All right. Perfect.
Mhm.
Wow. So looking back into that now, so what are some fun facts where you were like that was shocked you? So as a student, like your experience as a student, and then now that you're a teacher, what are some fun facts that you realized, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's in the community? What did you realize?
Okay, so this is actually lends itself very good to what I said before. Because like I said, I was a low-key class clown in school.
Yeah.
And I always connect to the class clown in my classroom. 100%.
Yeah.
Everybody is so annoyed at them, but it's
Yeah.
like I see them because
Yeah.
because instead me, I was shy. So nobody
Mhm.
really knew about my real personality, like how
Yeah.
goofy I was. But these kids that I connect with, usually boys, like young boys,
Mhm.
and they're usually like just out there and just so obnoxious at times too.
Yeah.
And so one time I said to this kid about 3 years ago, I was like, yeah, I see you. He was like,
Mhm.
what are you talking about? I was like, I see you. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, I was like, I get that you try to like put off this facade, like you're saying
Yeah.
all these jokes and you're saying all these things to people. I said, but
Yeah.
inside, like you probably aren't, you're probably really sad about something. I said,
Yeah.
because you're making fun of people, but in reality, like, you're probably just really upset.
Mhm.
And then he was just like, no, like you don't know me or whatever. But
Of
it's
course.
like instead of and I wasn't the kid that made fun of people. I didn't joke
Mhm.
like that. But it's
Yeah.
like the fact that I can see through like the goofy kid, like and what
Yeah.
they're trying to hide. Me, I was most likely hiding some kind of sadness. But for them, it's probably like they're trying to overcompensate. Oh no, this is what he was overcompensating for. He was overcompensating because he didn't understand the work. So whenever he wouldn't, and
Oh,
he was an IEP kid, whenever he would feel like he couldn't do something,
yeah,
immediately he would just start acting up.
yeah,
Immediately he would just start being obnoxious, saying these
yeah,
ridiculous things. And then I would just be like, it's okay if you don't get it. He's like,
yeah,
no, I do get it. I'm like, no, you obviously don't.
yeah.
Like, let's just
It's
sit and
okay.
let's talk about it. It's
Yeah,
okay. So I think like over the years, he's had so much shame and so much, guilt, or because he didn't understand what he's doing, that now in the eighth grade, he just acts out.
yeah,
And so that's the fun fact that I kind of realized with me, and nobody even expects that I was like a class clown in school either.
yeah,
Whenever I tell people that, they're like, "What? That's so weird," because I was just shy, but
yeah.
on the low, I was just really goofy.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I
yeah.
love that though. Like, and the fact that like you take the time instead of punishing that kid for being the class clown or just not even really getting to know why that they are the way that they are, you appreciate it because you can also relate and put yourself in their shoes that like it's not something that you're like, okay, no, it's something negative in the class.
No.
So I love
Yeah,
that.
and I felt really bad for that kid too. Because they didn't he was so they didn't do what they were supposed to do with him.
Mhm.
He had ADHD,
Yeah.
and he was very hyper all the time. But when he was
Mhm.
on medication, he was so low that
Yeah.
it looked like he was on drugs, like not even no exaggeration.
No,
So
I
when he would be,
I get it. I
yeah,
see people like that, especially with grade ones
yes,
first started. I seen the different, and it's so sad,
so
especially when they're
sad.
yeah,
And to think he has so much personality. So whenever I would always know when he was on his medication because it was
yeah,
like night and day, a completely different person. His eyes were always red and watery. I hated seeing him like that. But when he
yeah,
was himself, what they did was they allowed this kid to run up and down the hallway. So
yeah,
whenever he would get like, oh, can I just go in the hallway? And I'm like, no, because now you're older and now you just want to do it because you don't want to do the work, right?
yeah,
But even to this day, like even from the last time I was at my school, they
mhm,
always talk about this kid like, oh, she had him. And I'm like, I always tell them, I'm like, I
yeah,
loved him. I'm like, I
mhm,
even told his mom, I'm like, I love him. I'm like, I get how people, the teachers may, or
yeah,
whoever says that he's like a handful. I'm like, he has a good heart and I see
yeah,
it. Because the kid had a really good heart. It was just he was hurting because he didn't understand what he was
yeah.
doing. Um, but I genuinely really did like that kid a lot.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. No, I can relate to that because even with me, um, well, it's a fun fact for me is like I remember what again, I failed grade 11 math, and the reason why is because my teacher just I don't know why, but she always thought that I was talking in class, but I wasn't. But like my friends, they were talking, or maybe one person talking, she'll let all of us go. It would be first period math and make us sit outside in the classroom. So I'd miss multiple lessons because of that, right?
Wow.
It's like consequences. So I told myself if I ever were to be a teacher, I would never like make kids miss a math lesson because of behavior, like I'm
Right.
always so open to going over lessons, making sure everybody's taking notes at the same time and going at the pace of the students. So I feel like that is so important. Meeting students where they are and going by and building on top of that. Because there's no reason for me to start algebra if you don't understand integers. It makes no sense. Or
Right.
and there's no reason for me to do fractions if you don't understand decimals. So you kind of
Exactly.
have to have the foundation, the basic concepts down in order for you to level up. So why are we just leveling up without allowing students to have the basic
Exactly.
foundations down? It makes no sense.
Makes no
So I
sense.
feel like that makes a big difference. And I know that that's how I teach my math because I feel like I needed a teacher like that for me. And the fact that I'm like that and I'm very patient with my students, I give extra time to all my students. My door is always open during recess, at lunch to go over concepts. So I feel like that is the reason why I am that. Like I can relate to students who have math anxiety because I had math anxiety growing up because teachers made me feel dumb or less than or like I wasn't smart enough. So I just stopped trying. So I didn't want
Mhm.
to ever feel like that.
No, I totally understand that because it's the same thing with the kid. It's like if you don't nail down why he's acting the way he's acting, you're gonna continuously think it's because he's just a kid that doesn't know how to behave.
Yeah.
But when you dig deeper and you try to figure out the root cause of it, you'll see, oh, he doesn't feel like he's capable of actually doing the math or the work or reading the assignment. We
Mhm.
have to get down to that before we actually can move forward to forcing it down his throat. You
Yes.
know? It's like a process.
Yeah, no, so it's key. I feel like just taking the time and putting yourself in the shoes of students or how like other students were around you. Maybe you didn't struggle in school, but you had friends that did. Putting yourself in their shoes, how would you would want to help them as teachers or just as somebody giving them a helping hand, you know? I think
Mhm. Absolutely. Let's go. These are good questions.
yeah. Well, I had another fun fact though that I
Okay,
like.
go ahead.
So this fun fact is more light, but it was like when I loved watching Arthur growing up. So Arthur made me
Author's the best.
Arthur's the best. All right. To this day, I can still rewatch Arthur with like my students or just even if I just need something that gives me like that nostalgic feeling. But I remember one episode, like they made me think that the teacher's lounge was like the best place ever. Like, you know, like they had a jacuzzi or like they have fancy play foods or things like that. As an educator, what I realized is that is nothing but false.
Tell
That is
them.
myth. Teacher's lounge. Oh my God, it's nothing like
Zara, that's a good one. I didn't think about it.
horrible.
It's so true.
Horrible. I thought Teacher's Lounge had were for the elites and you had everything in there and you had probably fresh coffee and stuff. No. Got a rundown microwave. I remember my microwave at my school literally broke down. I had to go use the one at the office because it was just broken. Like it would not work. Like that's how bad it
Mm-mm.
is. Mismatching chairs, just a long table, a random. I was like, I was sold the dream. This is not relaxing. Not relaxing at all.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But the teacher's lounge took me all the way out. It is myth, guys. Depending
That
on
is
your yeah.
that is too funny.
Yeah. Even in the
Um,
fridge, I laugh because everything's like labeled. This is like
yes.
lunches. I think I will first the school that I first worked at, somebody was actually like eating somebody's lunch or something, and then somebody would email like CC everybody. I remember I was getting a CC email about please don't touch my eggs or something that's my egg that's my lunch like whoever kindly is eating my lunch please stop eating my lunch. I was just like this is the
What?
ghetto. Yeah, it was the ghetto. I'm not even
That
my first year of teaching, I got multiple emails about people flipping stealing people's lunches. Like I can't even name this. Like it's not the school that I'm at currently, but like
wow.
that was a thing. Oh, and the reason why I believe it was because the teachers' kids were going to that school, so they were keeping their kids' lunch also in that fridge. So but people were taking her kids' lunch. I don't know. That was crazy to me.
Even first of all, touching somebody else's Tupperware is weird. Like
Weird. Something my mama told me is not to
weird.
touch things that do not belong to me. Like, like I don't know, like, like
But
me, like, because I'm
even
African.
the concept of it, like you're
Yeah.
touching so you don't know what their house, what their food.
Ew.
Weird.
I was shocked. I was floored, honey. I was like, this is the ghetto.
That is the ghetto girl.
I
Mm-mm.
was great. I
I don't
was
have yeah, that's
yeah.
weird. Um, I think another weird thing I didn't think about being a teacher was working with other people. I never thought that teachers work with other you don't think that all the teachers in the school are coworkers, you
Yeah.
know? And like when
You
you're a
think they're
student.
individual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you think that they're their own person.
Yes.
Yeah. I
You don't
agree.
think that. So it was so funny in COVID. I work with four teachers. So during COVID, one of the teachers, two of them lived close to each other. So when one time, I guess one of the other ones went to their house during the time when class was in session. So she was in the background and she said hi to the class. And I said, wow, this feels like, one of those those mashup episodes
Yeah.
on television.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, I know them too. I was like, wow, this is so weird. I can
Yeah.
imagine how the kids felt like, wow, this is strange. Like I thought they didn't know each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that is hilarious. No, that's true. And even like as like to even see like for me to see your teachers outside of school, like when I was a
Yeah.
student, I was shocked. I was like, what are they doing here? Like, why why is Mr. something in
At
the
the
Mr.
grocery
at the
store.
grocery store? Or why are they here? Or like I at one point when I was like young, I actually literally believed that teachers lived in their classrooms, or like that was like they
That's
couldn't.
what a
And the
student
fact
would
that
think.
now I laugh, that's the reason why now like I think we make it a thing where we make like it's a thing where now like new teachers using social media show students that teachers do have lives outside the classroom,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
like for the longest time I think they didn't. I think their lives legit was just the classroom, and they're
No, you're right. And also when you're a teacher that works in your neighborhood as well,
yes,
like
and you
I
keep,
do, it's
oh my
so
God.
odd because I've
Yeah,
seen students in the mall, not
yeah,
even like there's a few malls close by me, but I kind of go to a mall a little bit farther out and I
yeah.
see a lot of students there all the time. And just how excited they are to see me, I'm
Oh,
like, it like does some it like it's so special to me because when I was young and I used to see my teacher in public, I would be like,
I was
you know,
shocked, like
like,
hiding your
"Don't
face, you know.
yeah, don't see me." But when my students see me in public, they're like, "Oh my god, hi!" Like, "Oh, like, hey."
That means you're a great teacher. That means your students
Aw,
really like, they really rock
I
with
love
you,
them.
man. They
Yeah,
rock with you.
they do,
Because
I
the
love
same,
them.
like I've only run because I don't teach, like I teach 15 minutes like I from this like the school, like not the first school that I taught, it was like more like a 45-minute drive because it was in downtown, and I don't live in downtown. I live more on the west side. So I didn't really get to run into those students. But now that like I teach at this school, I ran into
See
a couple
them.
students, yeah, especially kids that go to the
So
same like the
sweet.
masjid as me. So two times I ran into two Muslim kids at religious events, and it was crazy because they got so happy just
I
seeing. And I
know.
don't wear the hijab like
Okay,
out like at in the classroom, but when I, of course, when I'm
you have the hijab, right.
wearing hijab, so they're like, "Oh my God, it's Miss Hassan!" Like, "Oh my God!" Like they're pulling their parents and telling me that's my teacher. I was like,
I love that.
"Yes, be proud of me."
Yes.
I love
Yes,
that.
because even one time I was in, the mall. No, I was at a cafe doing some work, and then the next day I go into school, and my student's like, "Hey, this was this year." My student's like, "Hey, I saw you in, the cafe." I was like, "What cafe?" She was like and she said the name of it. I forgot the name of it too. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh." I was like, "Why didn't you say hi?" She was like, "Oh, I was with my friend. I was a little nervous." Oh,
I
oh no,
love
you should just say
that.
hi. Like, that was just
You're so
that's so
cute.
sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love
Yeah,
that.
they're so sweet.
No, I love our students, man. Our students rock with us. Our
They
students
do.
not ashamed to say hi to us in public. That's how much they rock with us. Hashtag them 90s teachers.
Hashtag them 90s
Never forget.
teachers.
I love that.
I love it.
My last question is,
Okay.
all right. So let's go back to when you were a kid. Doesn't matter when, or let's say, I would say like high school or
Mhm.
whatever, right? What is like some not advice, but what are some things that you went through that you learned within socializing or just forming like healthy friendships and stuff like that?
Oh,
Because I feel like in high school
okay.
it's so hard because even with my students, they always come around me. And like sometimes I do see like students um be in like have like groups of friends where like they bring them down or they dim their light down because they just want to make them happy, and they put themselves not first, and they let people walk all over them. And it's
Mhm.
like heart breaks me because I just want to shake the student and be like, wake up, you were a
Yeah.
leader,
Yeah.
know your self-worth. Like sometimes
Yeah.
I have that moment like inside, like, like is
Mhm.
up,
You're
but
funny, Zara.
like I swear to you, like I have moments like that all the time.
Yeah. It's
Oh
interesting. Because I have students like that too. And I think this is why I have so much passion for telling kids like, you're better than this.
yeah.
But in high school, and this is a good conversation for even like if we have younger viewers
Yes.
also.
Because even it's hard, like
Yeah.
having friends like in middle school. That's the reason why I love working in middle school, because I feel like it kind of get like
Me too.
way to high school, how your trajectory is going to be to high school. If you
Yes.
really leave middle school and you're reassured of yourself, and like your boundaries, who you are, like like what lines you're
Absolutely.
not trying to cross, because high school is a scary place, guys. Like
Girl.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like it's scary. It is scary.
Yeah.
I don't mean it's scary, guys, but it is scary. The amount of things that you guys have
Think
access
about
to
the
is
people.
insane. crazy. So, so like I have conversations. So I think it's like needed, and I feel like middle school, grade 8, especially grade 6, 7, and 8 kind of shape you.
Mhm.
So how you're going to be in your high school years,
Yeah.
type of people,
Um,
the crowds and stuff.
mhm. Okay, so I didn't really go much into my high school experience, but when it came to friends, ninth grade, there were a lot of people that came to my high school from my middle school. So
Okay.
I thought that, we kind of just connected because of that.
Yeah.
And then from that, we met other people that were also in that same area. Like, some people that just kind of naturally gravitated to all of us.
Yeah.
Um, but I realized that when I was being like myself and goofy and everything, that it was funny to them, but not in a sense where they were laughing with me. They kind of were like laughing at me, you know? So when
Oh,
I started to pick up on that and I started to realize that, okay, they're more like embarrassed of me than like actually wanting to be friends with me. I just started to slowly like isolate, like started to slowly like pull back only because they were there, I would kind of
yeah.
like be around in that environment.
Mhm.
But I started to like dim myself too, because I'm like, okay, maybe I'm being a little bit too much. Maybe I'm doing too much. Maybe this is just not acceptable here. So I started to like slowly, like just be to myself.
Yeah.
And after that, I think the next part, like I would even give as advice, is to be open to new friendships and relationships. I think sometimes, like when we go through things with other friends, we may think that, okay, all people are like this. And
Mhm.
that's not true. I had a lot of students that have that same mindset where they're like, oh, I trust nobody, blah, blah. And it's like, no, 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 no. Not everybody's like, they have to change your perspective. So because I was open to making new friends after that situation,
Mhm.
not just keeping myself isolated, I met one of my best friends that we've actually been friends for almost like 15 plus years now, actually. My longest friendship. And I met her on the bus. I just moved somewhere and I met her on the bus, same high school I went to, but I just moved to a closer location. And
Yeah.
we used to take the bus together. And one day she was like, so she didn't even know me at all. But we would just see each other in passing and just say hi to each other. But one day we were on the bus together alone without my old friends and without her friends. And she was like, do you want to join the fencing team with me? I was like, yeah, let's do it. First of all, never heard of fencing. We both knew nothing about it, but we joined the fencing team together. And we just connected on that level. And so I would just say, like, for me, when it comes to making relationships, it's just, once you start seeing people and not accepting you for who you are, be open to finding people that actually do. And
Yeah.
sometimes you don't even have to go out and find them. I didn't go out and look for my friend. She kind of
Mhm.
was just always there and we just
Mhm.
connected. And it kind of goes back to the point where like God will always lead you to who you need to be around and who you need to be with.
Yeah.
So I think that in the whole school year, that's what we were, like I said, we're still friends to this day. So it was
That's
it was just that.
beautiful. I
Yeah,
love
and throughout the process, we made other friends in like different groups, especially in 11th grade and 12th grade.
it.
We made other friends,
Mhm.
but we never allowed like whatever happened between them
Yeah,
affect
and you.
our friend. No,
I
because
love
we ended up being like, okay, these people are kind of weird, and then I'm like, yeah, and then we started to make our just kept the relationship between each other, and
Yeah. No, I love that. That is so beautiful. In fact, you guys met on the bus. You guys
the bus.
out of whim. You want to join the fencing team? What is this pamphlet? What? Amazing. I love that for you guys. That's awesome.
Yeah. What
Incredible.
about you?
Yeah, with me, I would definitely say, I won't like I from my middle school, once I moved back, I had like a lot of the people that I was friends with were like known like were the cool group. So you
Mhm.
wanted to be like connected to a lot. So by the time I was in high school, had so many friends, and sometimes having so many different friends and trying to maintain this whatever these people think. Like in Toronto, we had this thing called pub, right? So pub just
Mm.
the city, like in high school. So the more people that you know from different high schools and they rock with you, then the more
Okay.
you have, like the more like you're cool in your scene. They're like, yeah, I know that person. And funny story, I gave myself this nickname. It's so embarrassing, but I'm gonna say, it, guys, because but
I
yeah.
can't
So
wait to
I
hear
gave
it.
my name Swags because I thought I had
How's
swags.
your name? What? Swags?
Swags, yeah, that was
Yeah.
my nickname in high school. So literally, people like would call
Swags
me
got the swags.
Swag Susan, that was my nickname, but RIP, that nickname doesn't exist. That person doesn't exist no more. And I don't know what swag I was rocking in high school because my pictures was horrible. But yeah, so like the people that know you, like, you hear something like you had pub. And what I realized is sometimes when I try to blend my groups, because then I was forming in grade 10, some really like all the friends that I formed at my new school when I went to grade 10 are actually my closest friends that I still have to this day as an adult. So I formed a really good group of people. But I remember when I tried to bring around some of my friends, my other cool friends would be like, no, they're like cramping our style. They're not fitting in with the aesthetics,
Okay.
right? So then I was battling this inner side. But then I remember in grade 11, I was like, what is this person talking about, right? Because I don't really have a close relationship with this person because we're all just here thinking we all look cool, but I really rock with my friends here because deep down these are my girls. Like there's
Wow.
trust there, there's love there, there's respect there. So I kind of had to have this like aha moment that to like make a choice. And I at that moment I'm like, I'm gonna choose my friends that are like I rock with inside. Like I don't care
Mhm.
about being cool anymore. So you kind of
Wow.
had to give that up. So I was like, no, because I didn't think that was cool anymore. I was like, no, that's crazy. If you're gonna make me choose between you,
Yeah, like,
because
no way.
I was like, no way. So with that, I think that was like hard for me in the beginning because like I just moved. I'm trying to reconnect. Like I'm trying to find myself again. So it was completely hard. So I do understand like friends that want to fit in with how people look, but I really truly believe that it doesn't matter on how you look on the inside, but how you really are on the inside too. So beauty is not from the outside, but it's also
Mhm.
from within, right?
Absolutely.
Like people can look gorgeous, but can be foul and just
Yes.
itchy just because of the way
Yes.
they carry themselves and the way they act. So I was a person that I was like, I don't want to align myself with that.
Oh,
So
that's awesome. I actually think when you work on your internal beauty, that
yeah,
actually does show forth in your external beauty.
exactly.
I love
So I
that you said
had
that.
that moment. So I was like, bro, like I no. So with that, I'm happy that like I had that self-realization
Mhm.
because I love my friends. Like I still have the same group of
That's
friends.
amazing.
I rock with them. SCI forever. They know who they are. So they're
I
my
love that. No,
so
you
yeah.
honestly, with your stories, you seem like you have a really beautiful group of friends. Like it looks absolutely
Yeah. And
beautiful.
again, it's because we've connected. They allowed me to be my true authentic self. Because I
Right.
remember I told you in middle school, I was trying to fit in into this persona.
Mhm.
I try to keep up this persona, but they actually allowed me just to be my goofy, my weird self, my crazy self, just me authentically. And people who allow you to be you authentically and not this washed version of
Right.
yourself, that is incredible. Those are your people,
Yep.
honestly. And they stick beside you, like, oh my God.
I'm
My
gonna stick beside him.
we stick beside forever.
I'll stick
So
beside
yeah.
him.
So
I
that is
love that,
yeah, if
Zara.
I would give advice to people is honestly surround yourself and people that fill into your cup rather than take away from you and only like
Mm,
aspects of you. Because there are people that are only gonna like you or want an exchange for things that you can
I
either
can
do
do.
or the connections that you have or just certain pieces of you. But I feel
Mhm.
like everybody should accept you genuinely and authentically for who you are, all in all, flaws and all.
Miss Hassan, you are literally these advice columns have just been like on another level.
But
Seriously.
we're
Like
trying. I feel like
you
because we're
need to have a like where's the TED Talk? Come on
yeah,
now.
like, we both need. I was talking about you give like 2, 3 sermons today, girl. Like I'm here like, woo. I don't know what they do in church, but you had me, man. I was like, yes. But I feel like because we're talking about from real life, because I feel like we can
Yeah.
understand. And I've never had these conversations because again, you were an only child. I'm the oldest of seven. My girl cousins were older than me. So I really didn't have like a connection for me to go to somebody from what I'm going through day to day. I never had,
Right.
so
Yeah,
I
me
really have
neither.
to like maneuver this mind, like learn from myself. So now that
Yes,
all this information from my experiences, I can pour that back into my students because
exactly.
I know what you're going through because I know how it was for me.
Yeah. I kind
And
of think about my younger sister too, like how lucky she is to have a big not just me, but like you're so lucky. Like, dang, you
you're
have someone
lucky,
like
right?
you
100%.
really came into this world with someone older than you in your family. Like that's
Yeah.
crazy to me.
literally. And
Like,
you're a girl,
dang.
you understand, you understand her even at another level, you know?
Yeah, I'm like, dang, that's pretty lucky. So I understand what you mean. Like, is when you have so much that you have experience, have gone through, like you're just waiting. I feel like that's what generation and generation should be like too. Like you're just waiting to just pour into somebody else, like everything
Exactly.
you've learned. Because if you just keep it to yourself, then what good does it do you? You learned it already,
Nothing.
you know?
Literally. It does the nothing. Legit.
Yeah. So my advice, I think, would, and it's something I'm still learning, and it's something honestly, Zara, you're teaching me too, is that it's okay to just show up as who you are, you know? Like, even though I know it's okay, right? Sometimes I think that just on a personal level, it can be difficult when when there's so many opinions out there, when there's so many social media things out there. So it just confuses you to be like, okay, well, this person says this and this person says this. But I think that being solidified on, I think is what I said a couple weeks ago too, like being solidified on who God made you to be and who you know yourself to be is so important. And that will help you navigate your own relationships in your own life because you'll be like, okay, if this person is being a certain type of way, you're like, I don't really know if my personality can mesh with them. Like, they're not bad people. You just can't like relate on a certain level. But then you can meet other people on another space and be like, okay, well, these people aren't considered cool. However, I really get along with them. We have really genuine conversations. And then from that point, you can really find your authentic self. And maybe it's not even finding your authentic self. You just kind of walk into it. You just step into it.
Yes, I love that. And that is so true. And it's something that I feel like everybody in life will forever do that. It's not something that just stops, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's hard. Like I was having the same conversation with my friend Aya, and she's saying like, I love how sometimes you're so confident and how you put yourself out there. But I tell her, hey, sometimes I'm human too, right? Sometimes I get into my bag of social media. We're like, oh my God, am I doing the most or not? But then I have to have time like, no, I like who I am. Like, you get to a point at a certain age and I'm like, I love who I am. Why am I going to compromise myself and what I like and what I speak on, be littled by what other people think of me? Because I love me.
Period.
I love me. I don't care what everybody else thinks because
Period.
I love me. You can't determine my worth because I already know I'm the best.
Let's
Period. You know,
okay.
like I know that
Let's
myself.
go.
Nothing you can say to me, so I
Mhm.
get it. And to have people that also appreciate you for who you are,
Mhm.
for every aspect of you is a beautiful thing. And there are people in this world that will be in awe, that are going to be your support system, that are going to genuinely love and enjoy you wholeheartedly.
Absolutely.
You'll
I
find your
love that. Love
yeah.
that, Zara. You're amazing. Ending us off right. Last part is our quotes. All right, so I'll say mine first.
Yes.
Um,
But
it's
Queen.
it's another well, okay. It's another Dr. Seuss quote because I had two Dr. Seuss quotes.
And he's the best. Like,
He's the
if you
best.
if you don't read Dr. Seuss, what are you doing with your life?
That's like your
Come on,
catchphrase. What are you doing?
what are you
Okay.
doing?
So it's from the same book. It's from All the Places You'll Go. This one says, when things start to happen, don't worry, don't stew. Just go right along. You'll start happening too. I love that because it's like things in life will always happen. And sometimes we're like, oh my God, anxiety, oh my God, worry, oh my God, like what's gonna happen? But if we just allow them to be what they are instead of trying to figure out everything as it's happening, eventually we will figure out that we are actually moving along the path of life just as we are supposed to.
I love that part, man. And the way that you reflected on that quote is so beautiful because it is true. Because even as teachers or just even in life, you go through trials and tribulations, and it's the way that you maneuver through it. Like sometimes people will be like, "How are you a teacher?" Like don't you go through so much like with your brain, and
Mhm.
isn't it so much responsibility? But sometimes you just have to be like, if it's not me, then who, right? Like
Right.
job comes with responsibilities, anxiety driven, new things. We're all learning. Society is changing. We're just all trying to keep up, you know? So there's no
Mhm.
reason for us to just dwell on the worriness and the negative when there's still beauty day to day in what we
Amen.
yeah.
Okay.
I love that. No, I love that.
Sorry, you've been dropping gems this whole episode, man.
No, you were. Come on. My quote again goes hand in hand with that. It's by William Butler Yeats, and it's education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. So if you
Mm,
your students, don't think we are trying to pour information or just academics into their brains, but rather light and ignite that curiosity, that creativity, that critical thinking,
mm,
the connecting with other human skills, socializing skills. So lighting that fire within you, right? So again, with Michelle Obama when she's going on her second book tour, I remember she said
mhm,
teachers and parents are the first the fuel lighters of students or of children, because we're the ones who pour into these kids and kind of uplift them. So if you're a teacher and you are just negatively reacting to students and you're dimming their light, but you still think you're educating at the same time, no, right? So we are the fuel goers of these students, right? So we
mm,
have to understand that yes, education academics comes with it, but also allowing kids and imagining the world and letting them know that their self-worth is so important as well is key.
mm.
They matter.
I
All human.
love that. That was
Yeah.
a great tip for teachers, because it goes really great with the episode from 2 weeks ago, how
Mhm.
those teachers really freaked out on the kids. And
Yeah.
it really goes back to, professionalism and also like, listen, we are educators at the end of the day. This is our job. Just how if someone would upset you on a corporate job that's not a child, you wouldn't react in those kind of ways.
Exactly, and with children, we have to remember that their brains are still developing, right? So maybe what you said kind of holds bigger impact on them, you know.
Right,
So we have power. So we have to understand the power that we have, but also distribute in a way that we want to allow our students to feel like we also believe that they can do whatever they
right.
can in this world. Okay.
Absolutely. Oh,
Yeah,
that's so beautiful.
we did that.
We did that. Oh my God. I can't believe we just reached episode 8. Finished
Ate.
it.
And we ate. So we ate.
And we ate,
Ate. So
girl.
we
And
ate.
we ate. Okay. This was awesome. This was so
This is
awesome.
I love this.
Me too. They just get better and better as always.
I love this. And again, you're getting our true, raw, authentic self. This
Absolutely.
episode, we did a lot of reflection. So if you're a student and you understand or you can relate to our experiences, or you're like, oh my God, I feel that, or I did that, or oh, maybe you're in the fifth grade, you're like, oh, I may be two-faced, right? Or maybe you're in high school, you're like, oh, I think maybe I'm choosing pub over real friends, So again, we
Mm,
all went through it. Look at
yeah.
where Tasia and I are now. We're
Yeah.
both educators, but we both are great human beings who lead with
Yeah.
good, and that's it. So I'm
That's
happy
all.
for you. If you
And
guys want to join the conversation, hashtag them 90s teachers everywhere.
and
Even at us. It's not
add us, follow us too, each individually. I forgot to say this in the last episode, but follow us at the 90s teachers hashtag, but also follow us. We are on, I mean, we already, by this point, we already have 500. We already have
yes.
500. We're probably
Okay.
over that now.
Yeah.
But come on, follow us, share us, on your all social platforms, share us on Instagram, share us on your stories. Let us know that you're listening. Let us know what you like. So we can give you guys more of what you like.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right? We're trying to make this fun for y'all, because we
Yes.
talk for days.
Yeah, we can.
Any topic. That's one thing that I know we both can do.
Yeah, we can.
Anything y'all want us to talk about, let us know in the comments on all your platforms, wherever
Yes.
platform you're listening to this. You can comment on there. You can shoot us an email. You can
Mhm.
comment on our Instagram posts. So please do that and just
Yes.
Join the
You make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and
Yes.
follow us on Spotify. Our Spotify following has been growing so much. I think we have about maybe 44 followers now. So make sure you
Woo!
guys start following us on there.
Exactly.
And start rating us. Oh, I haven't said it. Rate us on Spotify because once they see that this is an awesome podcast, just give us a 5 star. You don't even have to write a review, but I mean, writing a review would be amazing, right? And let us know, let the people know what you like about the podcast. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Honestly, we are excited. And we can't wait to give you guys more and share
can't
more.
wait.
We love that.
We love that.
Did you got anything coming up for you that you would like our supporters to know about?
Mm, by the time this drops, I don't know, but you guys can follow me at
Yeah.
Tayjanay on my Instagram, TayJenay. I help teachers create their own programs. If you guys don't know, I started my own tutoring company, was able to make a good amount of money from it. So I want to teach other teachers on how to do the same exact thing, because you don't. I went ahead and got a doctorate degree, but you don't have to go and do that. Like you don't have to get another
You
degree.
smart.
You don't have to get another degree.
Key
You
to
don't have to do
success.
you don't have to do it. Right? I'm gonna just tell you that right now. You have everything you need. And I wish someone would have told me this too. But you have everything you need to be able to make your own program. All right. So that's why I wanna help you guys do the same thing.
Major key.
That's it.
In my DJ Khaled voice. Major
Major
key.
key. What about you, Zara?
Well, I'm still creating content. I actually have a few partnerships that are going to be dropping by the time this
Yes.
episode drops. So just support. Again, you can follow me at Miss Wanderer's Soul on Instagram and on TikTok. I already have a Walmart Canada campaign on their page. So tag your favorite teacher on there. My video is gonna drop on my page. Two Mondays.
Zara. Okay.
But for
Okay.
sure, 2 Mondays before this episode.
Let's
Okay. And
go.
then I got a couple more that are dropping. I'm here working with Indigo right now, which is one of our favorite
Let's
bookstores as a
go,
teacher.
Zara.
I got Staples dropping
We're
soon. So
we're
I'm
here for
here,
it.
you're
We're
gonna see
here for it.
a lot of content coming from here. And again,
That's
what I really
exciting.
love about these partnerships is and that I didn't realize that it makes such a difference is I'm a black female Muslim
Yes.
and a lot of people have reached out and said this is major for representation and that they see themselves in the social
Wow.
media ads, but even in the ads of these big companies. So I think it's so important.
Wow.
It didn't hit me until yesterday, actually, of like what these partnerships mean
Wow.
for people that look like me who share similar experiences as me. So it's bigger than me. Honestly, without you guys' support, I wouldn't be here today. So I truly believe
Mm.
love you guys for that. I love my students for allowing me, for helping me, for even telling me to start a social media page for a teacher. Shout out to you guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you. And this is just the beginning. And I think I did hit 77K now.
Let's
Uh,
go. I'm sure by the time this drops, it'll be like 80.
If
Okay.
you do that, thank you. I truly,
Yes.
truly love you guys and just all the support and the kind messages. I truly appreciate it. Yeah. So thank you.
I
Thank you
love
very
it, Zara. I'm sure everybody appreciates you
much.
too for what you do for them. Your students definitely do. That was beautiful.
Guys.
Congratulations to all those brand partnerships. That's
Thank
exactly what you
you.
wanted a couple months ago.
I
And
did. We were
now
talking
look.
about that. I remember when I first met you.
Yes.
I'm trying. When I first met Aja, I was telling her, I was like, yo, I need a manager. I do not know what I'm doing.
Yup.
After got a manager. Then I was telling her I don't know what I'm doing. Then I'm getting brand partnerships. Like I'm telling you, this is like everything coming to fruition.
Yo.
Like I'm just like I'm living in the blessings and I'm like taking it day by day. Like I'm living in it. I'm not worried. I'm happy. Whatever God intends,
I love it.
I'm loving it. And I just love using my platform for giving back to community. And I love that I can do that and highlight that. So I'm forever, forever honored.
I love that, Zara. You're such a huge inspiration. That's beautiful.
You too,
You're
Queen.
like the definition
Be the
of
reason, man. I remember you hopped on a call, first call. oh my God, you were telling me about your business, your five-figure deal. I remember you telling me you trip to Italy. I was like, wow. It's like, look at this boss, and that she was in her PhD program. I was like, wow, like
Wow, that's
you
so nice.
also inspire me in the future. I do want to go back to school and get my master's and my PhD. So thank you for that. So you
Oh,
also inspire me too. So
oh wow. Thank you.
wow.
That's so sweet. Yeah, that's so sweet. No, but like you're the definition of like, just walk by faith. Like the way that you trust God is so inspiring to me. You're just like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but I just trust God. And then you can literally see it. Like it's not like you even when I'm talking to you, you can literally see how carefree. Like remember that time I DM'd you like, yo, you are so carefree. Like you just see it in the way that you
Mhm.
interact. And it's like something that I do admire about you a lot. Like the
Exactly.
carefreeness, you could tell that you don't have any anxiety, any worries. And not that's at this moment I can tell. Maybe I know you're human, so maybe it
Of course,
sneaks
we're
up
all human.
sometime,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. When it
But
comes
like
to
your
this world.
energy never gives off like,
Mhm.
just gives off like carefree. Like we're
Yeah,
gonna let God do what he does.
exactly.
I love
100%.
that. I love it. Another amazing episode. Make sure you follow me and Zara and follow our podcast, Them 90s Teachers. We love to see it. And we're going to see
Yes,
you guys next week. We have an amazing collab. I don't even know if we did this before or after, but you'll see the
you'll see.
collab that we have coming up. It's
It'll
awesome.
be lit.
It'll be
Thank
lit.
you guys.
Thank you guys.